Alright, hello everybody. Today we're going to be looking at Heroic Odyn in the Trials of Valor. So, Heroic Odyn, you'll start off with Himjal and Hyja. At the start of the fight, they'll both be immune to damage, and they're immune to damage when they are when there is less than 35 yards between them. So to do this, you just get the tanks to tank each boss on different sides. It's very important in this that you keep the two adds relatively close to each other. So classes like hunters can stand on the opposite side of a boss and make sure they're cleaving across. You can see there was one hunter there doing it with a barrage. That's just to ensure that they can cleave onto both adds, because killing this boss quickly will ensure that you have less mechanics and will give you your healers more mana for the rest of the fight. So during this fight, you'll have a Horn of Valor that you just saw coming out. So the Horn of Valor requires everybody in the group to be spread 5 yards, and it'll do a circle around the boss on the left hand side. You see there. All you have to do is run out of that circle and then make sure everyone's spread. Right now you can see Hyja doing the Spear of Light. Now the Spear of Light just requires the group to soak the damage it comes. So on 10 player Heroic, this does about 8 million damage, I believe. So if you split it between about 6 to 8 players, this is about 1 million damage each, and it's very easy to deal with. Odyn will periodically do a raid-wide damage to everybody. It is important when this comes out that everybody pops a personal cooldown and that everybody's topped. We suggest using things like Trank and Healing Tide and just a healing cooldown just to make sure everyone's topped after this, because after that first raid damage there, you'll see that a Horn of Valor comes out straight away. So right now, there's the last mechanic in the first phase, and that's coming in the second phase, is that people will get fixated with adds. The adds will fixate onto you and give you a rune. To damage the adds, they need to be standing on top of the rune. So all you have to do is when you get fixated, you run your add to the rune. Now it's important to note that during the phase transition of the bosses, that this damage debuff goes away. So what you want to be doing is you want to be pushing the boss just before both bosses to 25% just before the adds come out, and then you can stack up the adds and cleave them all down together. That should save you a whole bunch of time and ensure that all your healers have a lot of mana going into the second phase. Now during the second phase, you will have the Spears of Light, similar to what the Heroic Odyn encounter has. All you want to be doing is making sure you're not stacking in the middle, so you're spawning the Spears of Light around the outside, and then one of the first bosses will spawn. These bosses have exactly the same mechanics as they do in the first phase, and all you have to be doing during this phase is making sure that you're soaking the Shield of Light that's coming up. You want to be killing these Hyja and Himdal as they come down before they do 2 mechanics, because that will significantly reduce the damage on your raid. So as you can see here, I am now getting fixated with the yellow add. It is important to bring it across to the your rune, and then you can damage them down. So as you can see there, the timer comes up for Unearthing Blast. So what you want to be doing is making sure you're killing these adds before that comes out, because they increase the damage done by this blast by 200% per add. So when this blast comes out, you want to be preferably popping a healing cooldown. So as you can see, the Trank just went out there, and then it's just rinse and repeat. We suggest to hero during this phase, as with the adds constantly spawning, you have significantly less boss damage. So it is quite important to be pushing this phase before all your healers go That's really the main concern. So just during this phase, when Himdal is down, it's very important that everybody remains spread, so you're not spawning spears all very close to people, so they're very easy to dodge, and that everyone can be spread out preemptively for the Horn of Valor. So it's the same rotation. So there'll be the Himdal or Hyja coming down. There'll be a set of adds, and then there'll be the raid-wide AoE. What we did on this fight to just increase our boss damage, we only had melee attacking the boss and the Himdal and Hyja when they came down, and we had all the range killing these little adds, because we had enough range DPS to make sure all the little adds died before the AoE. So this whole fight on Heroic is about maximizing the amount of damage you have going out to the boss. So there's little things like, in the first phase where you can make sure you're cleaving onto the boss. You can do that same trick in the second phase there. We just keep the boss in range. So in the third phase, there'll be 3 different platforms around the room. There'll be the center platform, and there'll be the left and the right. All you want to be doing is standing inside one of these platforms, so you're not taking the damage that's done by the light stuff that's in the other platform there. What you want to be doing is when you get targeted with a tornado debuff, you want to just be running it out to the side. So it's called the Storm of Justice. So you just want to run it out to the side and try and keep the tornadoes together so you have somewhere free to stand. During this fight, the tanks will be getting a debuff on them. All they have to do with that debuff is run away from the boss. The further they are away from the boss, the less damage they'll be taking. So then this phase is just rinse and repeat. Same thing happens, you just go to a different platform. There is a little bit of raid damage going out, there's Storm of Justice going out. You just got to make sure you want to be putting these tornadoes on the side constantly and not getting hit like I just did there. Once you get practiced with phase 3, this is probably the easiest part of the fight, to be honest. There's really not that much going on. If your tanks can stay alive, you should be fine to kill the boss once you've got this down. So during the transition, you just want to make sure you're getting to the right parts early. I do suggest that you're not tanking it in the back corner like we did there, because then you have to go for a marathon across the other side of the room. You preferably want to be trying to keep the boss around the front of the room, where you can easily walk into either of the 3 platforms. The boss will end at 10%, so you don't, you have to do the same amount of damage to the boss in the second phase as you do in the third phase. And there's no ads spawning in this phase. The boss will gain periodically increased damage, but if you have fairly decent DPS, this phase shouldn't be a problem. There's a lot of movement and it looks like a lot's going on, but it's really only the tanks have to deal with one mechanic and everybody else has to just deal with the storms. And that's literally all you have to do during this fight. So yeah. As we're looking, Heroic is looking to be fairly overtuned for the gear it drops. Our raid group is around 875 item level, and this took us a few attempts to kill. So, good luck.